Ready to turn your passion for helping others into a professional coaching skill set? The CPAC Empower Coach Academy, in partnership with Oregon State University, is now enrolling for fall 2026. Join an ICF-accredited Level 1 coach training program designed to help you coach with confidence, presence, and purpose. Start date is October 1st. Visit yesempower.com to learn more.
Welcome to Rewired. I'm your host, Tiffany Grimes with Empower Coaching and Training. We have a treat for you today. You get to meet Nicole Broadway. Nicole is a dynamic leader, entrepreneur, and motivator dedicated to helping others step into their power and become the best version of themselves. And I want to tell you, before I go on to tell you all the really cool things Nicole is doing, she literally rolled into my life on her office chair via my TikTok reels. And she has such a wonderful presence. She imparts such magnificent wisdom and just looks at the camera after she's rolled into the screen and just shares these brilliant moments. And what I found is I kept, hearting her work, and then I kept saving some of the reels. And finally, I thought, I want a conversation with this person, and reached out, and Nicole said yes. So we had the opportunity to connect. With over 20 years of experience as a personal trainer and fitness professional, she is the proud owner of a successful fitness studio, Bodies by Broadway, where she can work with others and really has helped transform countless lives, not just through health and discipline, but through this combination of those things with confidence building. As the visionary behind the So Girl Empowerment brand, Nicole uses her voice and platform to inspire women to step out, to grow, to inspire, to rise, and lead with purpose. And her messages always start with that. So I said she rolled onto my screen in her office chair, and then she looks at the screen and she goes, "So Girl." And I love it. I love the name of the business. She tells us what So Girl means in our conversation today, but the message blends real life experience, humor, authenticity, creating this powerful connection that resonates with women from all walks of life, including myself. She also brings over 2 decades of corporate experience with her into this work and into her wisdom sharing and confidence building. Nicole retired from AT&T after 21 years of service and now serves as a manager for Jefferson County, where she continues to lead with integrity and impact within her community. Before I introduce Nicole and our conversation that we got to have, I just want to share a couple of her videos, a couple of her reels, and just have you hear her and her voice. And so I'll play a couple of those, and then I will get right into our conversations.
So girl, sometimes the hardest part isn't the pain. It's pretending you're okay. So take the mask off. You don't have to perform strength. Real strength is saying, "This hurts." So girl, feel it. Don't fake it. Have a good day.
And let's listen to one more, folks. I'm going to play one more as Nicole rolls into the screen and then rolls out. I'm excited for you to meet Nicole. And then at the end, when I finish up with Nicole, I will also be offering an exercise on the TEB cycle focused on confidence and some of the pieces that Nicole and I bring into this conversation. So be sure to listen up for that as well.
So girl, let's be honest. Some of the things we cried over, if we knew then what we know now, we'd have just gone to brunch. So girl, laugh. It's part of the healing too. Have a good day.
Nicole Nicole. I'm so glad that you're joining us from Girl from Arkansas. Welcome to the Rewired podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get into your story and what it is that you're doing. And, what I love to share, and I shared it in the intro, is, you kind of literally rolled onto my TikTok feed with this really great daily dose of just empowerment that you do. And it just felt so real and authentic and wise. And I just loved it. And so I'm so glad we're here for this conversation. We always start the podcast with the same question, which is, what does empowerment mean to you? And what's feeling empowering in your life right now, Nicole?
Wow. Okay. So empowerment for me, first and foremost, I think it's actually setting a boundary, but honoring the boundary you set. For me, that is empowerment. And, knowing when peace is at risk to walk away, to choosing yourself, that is what feels empowering to me. Choosing yourself and honoring your boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the differentiation between setting them and holding them, because it's really two bodies of work. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You can set them all day, but if you don't practice them,
exactly, then you're just resentful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, well, introduce us to So Girl, which is an acronym and also just a really wonderful name and entry. And you have merch and all this stuff. So tell us what this thing is that you've created and what led you to this work. And particularly, what was the moment or experience that made you say, I need to create this for other women? I'm bringing this to other women. Tell us about So Girl.
So, funny story. So Girl started in a season in my life when I was 42 and I was thrust into being a caregiver for my parents, right? My mother had Alzheimer's at the time and my dad was fine, but eventually I became his caregiver as well, the getting liver cancer. And so it was a hard season, right? It was a hard season. I had to uproot from where I lived in Atlanta, relocate to Arkansas. And I needed I needed a laugh. I needed a release. And so I created So Girl as a way to just start conversation and say something funny, right? And I would use social media to do it. And, I'd be like, hey, So Girl, for all you mothers out there, if you have daughters, you better teach them how to do your hair, because if not, you're going to get old and it's going to look like this. And I was showing my mom's hair, right? Because I didn't know how to braid. I was never taught that. I was never taught how to do hair. I said, and so I would just make moments that were light for me, right?
Yeah.
And it transitioned over time, Tiffany, the people coming to me and saying, you don't know how you made me laugh that day, right? Or you don't know how you eased my journey in that day with something that you said, right? You really showed us what caregiving was about and how to make it easy. It was just a hard season for a lot of people in my circle during that time. Mm-hmm. And so I took So Girl and I said, well, you know what, let's grow this. Let's make it more than just funny. Humor is great too. But let's let it reach some audiences in a different way as well. So let's empower women. Let's motivate them on the things that we go through on a daily basis. And so it grew from there. It grew from there. And just last year, I was like, I want to have a conference, right? I want to have a So Girl conference. But what will we do in this conference?
Yeah.
How will it matter, right? And so we came up with the acronym of my So Girl, step out, grow, inspire, rise, and lead, right? All empowerment, all let's get to the real stuff in life type of acronym. And I created the conference.
I love that. So tell us about the conference. What did you do? Who was there? What transpired in this conference?
Yeah, so I had about 100 women, all, throughout the city of Little Rock, and some came in from out of state as well to come in. And we took each of those acronyms, and I had host panelists from my community to get on stage, two at a time for each part of the acronym. So the first one was step out, right? 2 panelists. What did it take to step out, right? What were some of the challenges you faced when you stepped out? Like,
what's a takeaway that women who are feeling stuck right now can do to step out of their comfort zone, to step into their next season of life, right? So I took each acronym with that, and we did the growth session, we did the inspire session, the rise and the lead. We brought them all together. We gave them some takeaways, right? And I had a guest speaker to just kind of bring it all in, and we just had a good time, a feel-good moment, for a few hours, right? We laughed, we danced, we talked, it was what I called couch conversations.
Yeah.
We're doing right now,
Yeah. That's so great. And so I know you're also a trainer, so you're working with people. Is your training part of So Girl? Are these two separate pathways? Tell us about the blend between body and brain.
Right. And I've been a personal trainer for about almost 20 years.
Okay.
And part of that journey is, of course, empowering women as well. Most of my clientele are women, and in the season of the life that they've been in, but motivating them and training them and teaching them that we may be in here lifting weights, but we're doing so much more, right? We're changing our mindset. We're giving ourselves confidence to go and do other things. It's just not about the body, but this is going to help you in your life, right? And so that was the platform for about 20 years. And of course, I bring in So Girl in it, and I use the motivations that I see, the jokes that I tell come from women in my gym. It's just all of that. I bring it all together because it is just about changing our perspective, changing our lives for the better.
For the better. Exactly.
For the better.
Intentionally and for the better.
Yeah.
And so do you provide, I'm thinking about if someone's listening to you and they get excited about this and what you're doing, I think we started this conversation and then our technical difficulty, we fell apart.
Right.
So I'm going to ask it here again. Are you working with people virtually? Are you doing individual coaching with people? How are you connecting with people outside of folks who can get to your gym?
Yeah, so that's a phase for me in the future. Like, I haven't grown there yet. This whole conference thing was my first, and the success says, okay, this is something we can do a little bit more often, a little bit more regularly. And so that is a branch that I want to get off into. I'm all about having the people around me that can support that vision of it, right? The licensed people, the people who are certified, the folks who also have the tools. You don't want to mislead people and guide them, in the wrong direction. So it's important to me that I create the team that will help me get my So Girl to the next level.
I love that. 100 people. I mean, that's a great, I don't know what your goal was, but from a person who, organizes and does things, I'd be thrilled with 100 people.
Over the moon with it, Tiffany, because I didn't expect that. I did not, but we came together and the feedback has just been phenomenal. Yeah.
So great. Wow. Yeah. So, okay. So overwhelmingly, whether it's through training or through this inspirational work that you're doing, you're speaking to women in transition. So what do you see as the biggest internal barrier that women face when they're trying to step into this new version of them, who they are?
Yeah. You know what it is? I believe fear. And when I say fear, it's a fear of, I want to take everybody with me in my new version. And I don't want to offend people that I've outgrown. Mm-hmm. It is a debilitating fear because you really have to give up some things when you're stepping into a new version of you. If you're trying to change your mindset and you're trying to change your environment and you're trying to create a new life for yourself, everything and everyone can't go with you. And that is so fearful, right? You lose people along the way.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think people really struggle with, because I'm comfortable with those folks that keep me in my same level, right? These are the people that I'm funny to them, but if I'm being challenged to grow and they don't understand my journey and my path, and they can't come with me, but I don't really want to leave them. That's the fear that I think a lot of us face.
Yeah.
And we're trying to build. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that resonates. That hit me just as you said it. I can think of a lot of experiences in my life where where
Yeah.
I want what's on the other side, but I don't want to let go of what is. And not that even
Yes.
what is still serving me, but
Right.
there's some sense of obligation or, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Some guilt there. They're going to make you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel bad that you had to leave that particular space to do something else. You're going to feel
yeah,
bad because it
yeah,
served its purpose when it was there, but
yeah.
it's not there anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of, again, you opened up with this idea of boundaries and having to live into the boundaries. And we teach quite a bit of boundaries workshop here at Empower. And one of the questions we get all the time is, how do I do this without feeling guilty? And the answer
Mm-hmm.
is like, you're not.
Right.
You
You're
gotta,
gonna feel
you
guilty.
gotta feel the guilt and do it
Yeah.
anyway, right?
And
Because
do it
we're so
anyway.
conditioned. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, so that makes me think of this, messaging that really is this overarching part of what you're doing, both on social media platforms, and it sounds like in your conference and in the work that you're doing, it's this idea of choosing yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing myself. I'm putting myself also as a high priority. So, what does that actually look like in real life? Like, how do you go do the thing knowing that you're leaving people behind? How do you actually do that? Not just these in moments, but really as this, like, this is who I am. I value me. I choose me. How does a person
Mm-hmm.
do that?
It is daily, hourly work,
Yeah.
right? And just in transparency, you end a relationship. I ended a relationship last year, right? And so the old me says, well, let me pick up the phone and call and see how they're doing, right? That's the old me. Now the relationship is over. But the old me, because I'm a caregiver in nature, I want to make sure they're okay, or I need another word or something from them to make me feel okay to move forward. I have to stop myself in the tracks. I have to choose me and my boundaries to say, no, you don't have to do that. You're moving forward. It is daily work, Tiff. It is, because the thoughts reoccur, right? I've learned that, those reoccurring thoughts is just me reliving my past, me reliving something that once was. And
Yeah.
so the moment it creeps up, I have to stop and take a breath and say, no, am I honoring my boundaries? And you have to recognize when those thoughts pop up, right? You just can't just move through them. You got to be consciously aware of when they come to the forefront of your mind to do something different.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not doing that today. That's how you do it. You have to do it all day long.
Yeah.
You have to work at it
All day long. Yeah. I mean, it's
all
the
day long.
foundation of all good work is you have to be aware of what you're doing, right? It's that
Yes.
self-awareness. What does it feel like when I break my own boundaries? What does it feel like
Right.
when I've reached out and I actually didn't want to reach out or work
Uh-huh.
through habit or so forth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It instantly attacks your body. You
Yeah.
instantly feel it, right? Oh, this is not an alignment thing. This might be an ego thing. This might be something else that I probably need to work on. Your body lets you know, say, hey, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Does it feel right? No, it really doesn't. Then why are you doing it? Honor your boundary.
Yeah.
Honor
Yeah.
yourself. Choose you.
Choose
Choose you.
you. Yeah.
Choose
It's
you.
so true. And the other thing I think about as you talk about this being moment to moment work, which I would absolutely support that idea, is when we think about choosing ourselves, I think we think about that, if we thought about it on a scale of 1 to 10, the choosing myself is a 10,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where
Mm-hmm.
really, if I'm at a 2, choosing myself can be a 2.25 and then a
Right.
2.5. And
Yeah.
choosing myself can look differently as I move up that,
Mm-hmm.
spectrum necessarily. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I've packed my bags and I'm making choices for me.
Right.
And yeah,
Right.
yeah, it
Yeah.
can
And
be,
I'm out of here.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
out of
It's
here.
right. It's not. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
It's small things, right? It is gradual. It is. Today I chose to just lay in the bed today because I just wanted to rest. I'm
yeah,
choosing me. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just a gradual. Yeah. It's a
yeah.
scale.
And bringing that same awareness into the moments you choose yourself. So the moments you give yourself away, bring the awareness. And also the moments you choose yourself, that like, hey, look what I just did.
Yeah, that was a me moment. Thank you. Yeah,
that was a me
celebrate
moment.
the win.
I did it.
Yeah, celebrate the win.
Yeah. I love that. So from your perspective, what you talk about confidence and alignment, and I'm curious, what's the difference between, for you, when you think about confidence and alignment, what's the difference between those things, and how can women tell which one of these they're actually chasing?
I think alignment builds confidence, right? So I think my confidence comes from me doing things that I do that's in align with who I am and where I'm going in my journey. I get more confidence when I do the things that support who I am, right? So I don't chase confidence. I'm chasing, probably, if I'm chasing anything, I'm chasing alignment, because my confidence will build from there.
Yeah.
If I can do things that my body says, this feels good, this flows to where I am, which is hard to do because we're pulled in so many different ways. But if I can stay in alignment on my journey, I can conquer the world in my mind, right? My confidence is because I'm doing what's good for me. I'm doing what supports me, and I thrive in doing what's good for me and where I am in my journey. I'll thrive there. Otherwise, I'm not being authentic in other areas, just trying to build a confidence in something that's not even for me. I don't want to do that. And I've done that in the past. I've tried to, it could be a career, Tiffany. It could be like, oh, I want to do this in this job. And that's not in alignment with who I am, right? And so I'm not gonna have a lot of confidence in that job because I'm always trying to figure out how to be the best in something that's not even true to who I am. I don't want to do that. I've learned not to do that. It took time, but I'm learning not to do that.
Yeah. How would you say a person figures out who they are? I can think about people might be listening to this and go, well, how do I know what is in alignment with me? And especially when I think about transitions, I think about, who am I, which version of me am I being in alignment with? What are your thoughts about that? How do I get to know me?
Right. I think that's a great question because I think it's a body thing. It's if something is bringing you anxiety more than joy, or if you're anxious about the thing to a point where it's debilitating, that's not alignment to me, right? You can have a little nervousness and you can have the butterflies and you can have a little excitement about it, but the difference of when it's anxiety and stress that you're being pulled to and when it's peace. That's alignment for me. When it's peace, when it flows and I didn't force it and I didn't, try to make something happen that's not even supposed to be for me, that's not alignment. So it's my body telling me if I'm stressed, if I'm anxious, I know I'm not in alignment. And I have to step back and examine what that is. Like, what am I forcing myself to do? And I said it in one of my rollouts, flow over force. If you got to force it, that's not alignment.
Yeah. Flow over force. I love that. And it makes me think about, I think about moments in my life where there's a knowing. I would call that the flow.
Yeah.
And that means there's a whole bunch more work that has to happen, right? So flow, I want to name it because I think flow sometimes means the stars align and it's so easy and the path is clear, right? It can.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Flow is, I have a deep knowing that this is my truth. And almost like that, like, damn it, because now it means I have to do all these things. Yeah. Doesn't mean an easy path.
I love that phrasing of it, deep knowing, because you do know. You do know.
Yeah.
It's in there.
You might not want to hear it.
Right. Right. When you tune in, we just resist it sometimes. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've created spaces like your conference that you've mentioned, and you had that, was that just this month? Did you just have?
It was just last weekend, the 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. So incredible. Shout out to you and your team
Thank
and
you.
those who attended, and that's incredible.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Your brain, your way. Cassie Lopez helps ADHD minds turn chaos into clarity, shame-free. Simple tools and real wins. Book coaching with Cassie today at yesempower.com.
So you've created these spaces where women can really feel seen and supported. And so I'm curious, what do you think happens neurologically or emotionally when women are truly witnessed in just your presence or in community, in these workshops? There's something magical that happens when we're seen. And so I'm curious if you can talk about your experience in that and creating spaces where women are truly seen and witnessed.
Yeah, it is something powerful about it. The energy that comes from, being around, your peers or your other women that do make you feel seen, right? And so what I think happens, Tiffany, is we actually, for the moment in that conference, get to change a thought about our lives, about ourselves, right? Meaning today, somebody told me they believed in me. Today, somebody told me I mattered. Today, somebody made me feel like I was seen. And instantly, there is something in the brain to me that says, that's a new thought pattern. Let's hold on to it. Let's create a new memory from this moment so that we can replace something that was negative in the past. And the goal to me is to hold on to that positive reconditioning, if you will, of your mind as long as you can in the hours that we have you together. And maybe it'll carry over into your week and you get to practice this thought. I remember when that moment happened at that conference and I felt this. You start training yourself to keep remembering to do this, to keep feeling this way because you like that feeling. So let's practice that feeling. Let's say it daily. I matter.
Yeah.
You start getting it. And that's what happens when you get together in those types of environments. It's just a great way to recondition your mind from stuff that you've been beat up over or been told, the old narratives and scripts. It's a positive change and in action.
Yeah. Yeah. In action. Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes me just think about, I know women come into these spaces with all types of different backgrounds and obligations and loads and aspirations. And often, as women, we're carrying this kind of caretaker role, And so I imagine have these spaces you're creating where women are witnessed and they're turning all of this immense energy that we give throughout decade after decade after decade to others for a moment get to shine our own magic back on us.
Right.
What if we were as empathetic with ourselves as we are with other people and compassionate with ourselves and look at ourselves with the same love that we do other people, and what can grow out of that.
Right. It for me, it was like, hey, today you chose you by showing up, right? Right. Like you said, it was a room full of caregivers. They were going through seasons as well. They're moms, they're, teachers at all kinds of walks of life, like you said. And for a moment, for the 3 hours that I had them, you made a conscious decision to choose you, right? You could have been everywhere else, to turn off your brain about taking care of someone else and just be in the moment and be present. It is something powerful about it. And we all should do it. You have to do those things for yourself all the time. You just take a moment to just reset.
Yeah. And so I think about that's a mindset shift, like what you just talked about. take a moment every day for yourself, right? Means the mindset shift might be, I'm worthy, I'm a priority, I'm investing in me, I am part of my caregiving list, right?
Right.
So I'm curious, in the conference where you're doing this work, how are people creating these? Is there a tool that people are utilizing to help kind of create these mindset shifts, and kind of walk us through that, if you will, or some of the work you do when you're training people and that mindset shift has to come along with it? How do we actually, maybe if we're not at a conference, let me back this up. We're not at your conference because it just happened. We don't know when the next one is. We're nowhere near Arkansas. And so how could I do that on my own? How do I begin to do that mindset shift on my own?
Right. Well, first of all, there are so many tools out there, right? There are daily affirmations that you have to do the work, right? You have to go out there, create your affirmations that what you want in your life. So I used to tell myself all the time, Tiffany, I don't like people. I mean, I'm an introvert and I just do not like people. Well, that's not true. That is not true, right? And I said, if I don't stop saying that, I'm going to find myself without people. And I love
Right.
people. So it's daily work. And how do you get the tools? Is you have to have the affirmations. You have to take the 5 minutes. You have to plan it out and say, this is what I'm going to do for myself. But you actually have to do it. I can write it down all day long, my goals, what I'm gonna do for the day. If I actually don't practice them, if I actually don't take the 5 minutes and say thank you, universe, or thank you, God, or whatever, if I don't do those things, I don't shift my mind. I just let the world keep pouring on to me, and I don't pour into myself. So those are the tools that I talk about. There are books, there are journals. In the conference, we gave away journals, the Soul Girl journal that had daily affirmations with a takeaway and an action step that you needed to do, right? And so use those tools, go through and do the work. It's just a lot of information out there in the world that you can just really help yourself reset and practice on a daily basis.
Yeah. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Yeah. That's one of the things I work with people on a lot, because I work with a lot of leaders, is this idea of, I don't have time, and I think that's, every time we say that, and you're speaking to the same thing, is we're recommitting to what we don't want. So every day I'm making a commitment to myself that I don't have time for anything else. And so then, those thoughts create our behaviors. And so, an emotional state that then drives our behaviors. And so it's like, are we committing, are our words being used to design what we want versus what we don't want?
Right. Your brain believes you don't have time. You keep saying it. You don't have time.
Yeah.
So you have to change. You have to change the wording, the narrative of what you tell yourself to fit what you really want for your life.
Yeah.
You have to recondition the brain to say, no, I love people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I just want the right ones. I want the
exactly. Right.
I want them in these time frames.
Yeah. I mean, I can package with them, but I do love people.
Yeah.
Just in small doses.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Your relationship deserves the same care as your career. At Empower Coaching and Training, Couples Coaching with Satya supports professional couples who want to grow together, not just get through the week. Through strengths-based, neuroscience-informed coaching, couples build trust, deepen connection, and create shared direction, even during demanding seasons of life and work. If you're ready to invest in a more intentional partnership, explore couples coaching with Satya at yesempower.com.
So I'm curious, what patterns or stories do you hear over and over again from women, and how do you help them begin to rewrite those reoccurring limiting narratives?
Well, so in the training world, It was the biggest one was I don't have time, or I can't make time in my day to come and do this, and or it's hard, or how do I how am I able to really, if I use the fitness thing, how am I going to come in here and lose all this weight and do all these things? And I think that for me, I have to show them that it's not the losing of the weight that you're trying to accomplish. It is create a better health, a lifestyle for yourself, a healthy lifestyle, so that you can be better for yourself and for the things that you're designed to do in your purpose. What I hear on my TikToks and what people are saying is, oh, I love what you're saying, but how do I start? How do I do this? How do I become aligned? The very question you asked me. How do I find peace in my day? And so every example, I think, Tiffany, is different. Like every how do I requires different answers. And so it just depends on what the scenario is. In fitness, I say, how do you start? You have to get out of your bed. You have to take 10 steps to your door. You have to get in your car. You have to take actionable steps if you want something different. How do I find peace? Well, hey, let's remove the things that, and when I say remove, be careful on the wording, but let's learn to peel away the things that cause you stress. What are those things? Let's look at them. Let's write them down. Let's figure out where does the stress come that's not bringing you peace. You have to take actionable steps, but you have to be honest and evaluate what those things are.
Yeah.
And whatever the arena, whatever the how do I is, you have to evaluate, take a good look at first. What are those things that are causing you not to be able to move to the better version of yourself? What are they? Honest inventory, right?
Yeah. Honest inventory, which is so vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. There's the research out there says us not making the changes in our lives is rarely about a lack of knowledge. Right? And yet it's kind of the first thing we claim as like, well, how do I do that? How do I bring more inner peace? I just don't know. Right. But you could probably put 50 bullet points right now on how to do it. So it's rarely a lack of knowledge. And it's also the first place we go to as not knowing, or we purchase the books, we buy the journal, we get the app, we get the running shoes, we buy the nice workout pant, whatever it is, the meditation pillow, we buy the things, but it's this internal dial into, this is who I am. I am a person who creates inner peace. Does that look like the Dalai Lama? No, because that's all the way over on that spectrum. So what
that's
does that look like for me on a Monday? What does this, really have these moments of, generally, we know what to do. Let's do it. Let's create measurable steps for us to actually do this, and a mindset.
Measurable steps. Measurable steps. That's what it's all about for me, right? Measurable steps, meaning, you can't come to my gym and say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Unrealistic goals, not measurable, right?
Yeah.
And when like you said, you went and bought all the gear and everything, all the fitness stuff, and you're going to start. No, that's not realistic in life and even in the fitness world, because the first thing you had to do was tell yourself this is what you wanted to do. You had to first tell yourself this, and then you had to just show up. Just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. And everything that we're doing, just show up and meet the moment of what you want to have happen in your life. Just show up first.
Yeah, show up first. Yeah. And even if I think I was just coaching somebody recently, and it was about movement, and they were talking about, well, they wanted, one of the action steps was they wanted to do, all this research on this gym versus that gym, and and all, and I was like, great. And also, how can you move today? How can you move within the next 24 hours? Like, all of those things are great, but it's also sometimes armor, the false feeling of moving forward, but actually not changing
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that
Totally agree.
procrastination looks more productive if I'm researching.
Right. Because I'm doing the work. I'm
Yeah,
doing
I'm
some
doing
work.
the work. Yeah. Look at all this information I'll have, but I still haven't moved at all.
Yeah. You called me 5 times about when does the class start, and you've
Yeah.
not shown up once.
Yeah.
But I'm inquiring, and I'm letting you know I'm interested, and I'm coming.
Yes.
I just haven't showed up yet. Yeah.
That big vulnerable move of doing it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of highlighting this, but I just want to make space for if someone is listening right now and they're like, oh God, that's me. I've been researching gyms, or I've have 7 journals on inner peace and I have not finished one page. How would you, if you were working with them, if they were like in your conference or they stepped into your gym and you gave them one small, concrete, powerful step to move forward, what would that be?
So if they walked into my gym, I would more than likely just say, hey, let's celebrate this win today that you came in the door, right?
Yeah.
It would be something small that we would do to just stay active. And then we would talk about, was it good, was it bad before they left, right? Did you die? Right? That's the phrase. Did you die? No, you didn't, because I'm talking to you right now. So, hey, how about we try it again tomorrow?
Yeah.
You don't want to, even in the journal, you don't have to finish the journal every day. I got to do this. I got to write in my journal every day. You don't want to do that either, right? That becomes work.
Exactly.
Right? So, hey, did you take a step out of that journal today? Okay, you didn't. No problem. Tomorrow's a new day. Recommit to the next day and do it.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm asking everybody. Just take one step at a time. You'll get to the goal. You'll find that you eventually end at the end of your journal. You'll be like, oh, I remember when I was afraid to do this at the beginning and do the hard work at the beginning, but I just took a little bit every day, and here I am at a major accomplishment. That's all I want. Anything I'm doing, my training or the motivation, I just want for that day when I send out my message on social media to embrace that moment, do something about it that moment, and then go about the rest of your day.
Yeah.
You can't solve the world problems with one social media feed or one action step. You cannot bite off more than you can chew, and you won't find success in that. And so I think I'm answering the question, and maybe I'll reel it back a little bit, but I just feel like just one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. But move.
Yeah, I love that. The Glennon Doyle, her book, I think it was Love Warrior, where she wrote, she would just, as she was going into sobriety, and she would just ask herself, what's the next right step? That's it. That's all I need to do is answer what's the next right step to do, the next right thing. And I loved that question. I love that. It just boils it down to, who am I right now, today? What's my capacity level? What's my goal? I am in choice. I do want to move forward. What's the right thing right now? Yeah. Right now.
Today.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow. Today.
Yeah. So good. So you were talking a little bit about this kind of future vision of So Girl, and I'd love to hear a little bit about it. So what's your bigger vision for So Girl, and what kind of ripple effect do you hope it creates for the current and next generation of women?
Yeah. My vision for So Girl is not just a once a year type of conference. I really want to get into having smaller sessions more often that allow women to come and rejuvenate themselves, to be reminded of just how powerful they are and how wonderful they are. But I want to do it, over time and just more quarterly. That's the goal, because I just think we can't go 365 days and think we're going to just take it all in that one moment of time, right? And be ready to conquer the next year. And we have to stay reminded. And so that's my long-term goal, is to provide spaces where we can all come together on a retreat style or what have you, and just be seen again, right? So that's the long-term goal. And I want to, in this next phase of the conference, to incorporate a younger generation, 2030s, my age, I'm 57, that generation of women, and women a little bit older than me, because there are learning environments when we all come together, right? I can learn from the 80-year-old who struggled with being seen in a time, right? And how they came to be and how they found their empowerment. And I can teach a 20-year-old, you know, hey, these are your challenges you're probably going to face, and this is how you overcome them. And you can be seen, and you can not lose your superpower of being who you are. I want to bring it all together over a course of time here as I grow this old girl. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what you do. There's something magnetic about you and inspiring about you. And I just am excited to see what you do with this. I think you're building just this beautiful platform that people are clearly drawn to. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you go. So keep us posted on it, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. So, girl, I hope to see you soon.
That's right. I do want to end with I'm going to your website and you have this, let me get over there so I read it correctly. You have this beautiful thing on here that says, repeat this with me. And I don't know if you know it by heart or if I can read it for you, but yeah, okay, let me get back to it because it was changing. But it says, let me see. I trust myself. I honor my boundaries. I am becoming everything I need. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that,
Mm-hmm.
Nicole. I love everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. And listeners, if you want to, again, right now, So Girl is kind of in person and in Arkansas, it sounds like, but I found Nicole through TikTok. She does this amazing daily offering. And so we'll definitely put those links it's a great way to spend your time on TikTok, right? So if you are a person who's like, I don't have time for self-motivation, and yet you find yourself on TikTok, it's a great way to kind of both tune out and tune in at the same time. So we'll put that link in the show notes. Excellent. All right, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany.
If confidence has ever felt like something you're waiting for, this is your reminder that alignment is something you can actually create. Confidence is something that we can learn on purpose. So let's build on what Nicole just shared with us and just take a few moments together to really build this in. So let's just start with a breath, breathing in and slowly breathing out. And you can do that while you drive. We're going to tap into some powerful work here. So as always, you may want to pause and come back with you and your journal. And also, if you're driving or on a walk, we can absolutely do this work together. I want you to think of a moment, real or imagine, where you felt a level of confidence, of agency, not perfection, not fearlessness, just steady in who you are, capable, grounded. Maybe it was a conversation you handled well, a decision you made, a moment you showed up as someone that you trust. Let that moment just come to you. And here's what's happening in your brain as you do that. We're working with what we call TEB, thought, emotion, behavior. And there's a whole episode on that I'll put in the links in the show notes that you can tap into. It's one of my favorite exercises to do, or exercises around the concept and science of TEB. Your thoughts create your emotion. That is the understanding and the science behind TEB. Thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions drive how you show up, your behaviors and your actions. So let's step back into that moment and build it on purpose. First, your thoughts. Ask yourself, What was I believing about myself in the moment? Maybe it was, I can handle this, or I know what I'm doing, or I don't need to be perfect to be effective. Let one thought rise to the surface. Now notice what happens next, your emotion. When you think that thought, what do you feel? So if I think, I know what I'm doing, maybe I feel a sense of calm or confidence or clarity, even just a little more grounded. Let your body feel that. So you think the thought. Notice your emotions. What do you feel when you think that thought? And now the B of TEB, your behavior. From that feeling, how do you show up? If I feel more confident, more calm, and I have more clarity, maybe from that feeling, I speak more clearly. I make the call. I hold the boundary. I take the step. This is TEB in action. Let's bring it into the present moment. That's really where the beauty is. So understanding TEB, excellent. Utilizing TEB, transformational. Gently shift your posture, sit or stand a little taller, again, depending on what it is you're doing. Relax your shoulders, really bringing them back and away from your earlobes and your shoulder blades back onto your back. Lift your gaze, so position this body at whatever level your body can do that. And then lift your curiosity, if you will. What thought do I want to practice right now? What thought do I want to transform? Because the other part of this is true in TEB as well. So if I think I'm not good at this, I'm not worthy at this, I'm bad at keeping boundaries, that also creates emotions and feelings, and those also drive behaviors. They just probably aren't aligning with what we want. So we are always practicing TEB. And again, I'm not going to get deep into TEB because I have a whole podcast and we teach it as part of our Empower Coach Training Academy. But that question, what do I want to practice right now? What thought do I want to practice? Reminds us that the entire TEB cycle is within our control. There's a thought, and then we ask ourselves, does that align with what I want? And if not, what do I want to practice right now? And we're carefully not getting into toxic positivity. It's not just everything's great and everything will turn out. There's, again, a lot of great science behind this that we can cover later or again, but thinking really, I can do this, or whatever thought you want to replace that with. Choose a thought that feels true enough and strong enough to move you forward. Now notice the feeling it creates. And from that feeling, what is one small action step you can take? Confidence isn't something you wait for. It doesn't come at some point in your life. It's something you build purposefully. It's not going to knock on your door. We've all wanted that, but we have to build a brain that does the thing we want to do. So one thought, one feeling, one action at a time. Your brain is always wiring based on what you practice. So if you want more confidence, don't wait for it. Practice it thought by thought, moment by moment. Build that awareness that Nicole really talked about so much. As we leave, I'm going to share one more So Girl reel from TikTok with Nicole. Enjoy, everyone.
So, girl, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to flourish. Start where you are with what you have. Your next level isn't waiting on a miracle. It's waiting on movement. So water was already in your hands. So, girl, bloom right where you are planted. Have a good day.
Go follow Nicole on TikTok. You won't regret it. See you next week. Rewired listeners, if this episode resonated with you, I'd be so honored to stay connected. Follow the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Share an episode with someone in your life and leave a 5-star review. It helps people access these tools and this work and grow our community. At Empower Coaching and Training, we believe that when you understand your brain, you gain the power to change your patterns, your relationships, and your life. If you're ready to go deeper, you can always learn more about coaching and resources at yesempower.com. And as always, listeners, notice what you're practicing, what you're returning to, and what you are rewiring. Until next time.
Hey, it's Jen with Empower. If you've been enjoying the Rewired podcast, thank you. We're so glad you're here. And if you're ready to go deeper, visit us at yesempower.com and explore our personal and professional development workshops, our coaching academy, and our free weekly mindfulness broadcast. If the Rewired podcast resonates with you, there's more waiting for you at yesempower.com.